Well, hello there. It's great to get this opportunity to share with you once again. I do hope that you're all well and that you're managing to cope with these very strange times of COVID-19. Have you ever in your life made plans only to discover that things don't just turn out the way that you had intended? Perhaps you planned to cut the grass or do some gardening, but it started to rain. Or perhaps you decided to bake a cake, and as you get everything together you discover that you've got no eggs, so the plan goes awry. Or perhaps you planned to go on holiday or visit friends or relatives, and then you were faced with the restrictions associated with COVID-19. Or perhaps you plan for life to go on as it is, but then you're made redundant, or you become ill, or someone that you love dearly passes away. Isn't it a fact of life that life just doesn't go the way that we had planned? Sometimes it's small things like not being able to cut the grass, and sometimes it's quite simply life changing. When we are faced with situations that don't go quite according to plan, it is important to remember that however difficult it might be, God has a plan for each and every one of us. There are many verses in the Bible that remind us that God has plans for us, unique plans, plans that are made according to God's will, not our will. I'd like to share with you just two of these verses that help us to think about God's plan when perhaps we're thinking it should be about our plan. The first one is from the book of Psalms, Psalm 138 at verse 8, and we read, "The Lord will work out his plans for my life, for his faithful love endures forever." God will work out his plans for our lives because his faithful love does indeed endure forever. And then in the New Testament in Romans 8 at verse 28 we read, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." So we are not in charge. We might think we are, but it's God's plan, and sometimes that is really difficult to accept. We don't know what plans God has for us, and they may be difficult for us to accept, but we need to trust and we need to have faith in God, our Creator and our Master. Just over 4 years ago, I made a plan to start training to become a reader within the Church of Scotland. I discussed this with our minister at the time, Grant Barclay, and he suggested that I should consider training to become an ordained local minister. To be perfectly honest, I had never heard about ordained local ministry at the time. So after much thought and much research and much prayer and speaking to Carolyn, I did apply to train for ordained local ministry. And thanks be to God that I was accepted and that my education and training went pretty much according to my plan. Or maybe it was God's plan. In 2018, however, I was given the opportunity to retire early, and I should stress it was very early. And this provided me with the opportunity to focus on my studies and my training for ordained local ministry. But it was not what I had planned. It entailed a great change to Carolyn and my life, but it was God's plan. As my training neared completion, I was hopeful that if I completed successfully, that I would be able to secure a locum position within Irvine and Kilmarnock Presbytery. As you will know, I successfully completed my training at the end of July, and praise be to God that I managed to get through okay. But unfortunately, there were no suitable positions for me within Irvine and Kilmarnock Presbytery. My plan was scuppered. I had planned to be within Irvine and Kilmarnock Presbytery, but there were no suitable positions. But God did have a plan, and his plan was that I should be ordained into Ayr Presbytery and be deployed at Alloway Parish Church to assist the minister, the Reverend Neil McNaught. My plan was also that my ordination would be a great time when I could invite my family and all my friends to join me. But the COVID-19 restrictions mean that this is just not possible. I will be ordained at Alloway Parish Church on the 1st of October, but there will be very few people invited to attend because of the restrictions. But it will be streamed live on the internet if you would like to join in that occasion. Throughout my training for ordained local ministry, I had a plan in mind, but God had some different plans, and I needed to trust God and have faith in his plans. And sometimes it was fairly easy, and sometimes it was very difficult. Each of our lives is the same. We make our own plans, and sometimes things work out exactly as we had planned. More often, however, things do not go quite according to how we had planned. Though it may be difficult, we need to remember that God knows the bigger picture, and he has a plan for each and every one of us. We need to trust God and have faith in his plans. May God bless you, and God keep you, and God lift his face to shine upon you. You take care.